Your story is amazing and inspired me. And I want everybody to hear what the fire you've been through and where you landed so that people understand the power of what you're trying to teach in this book. So.
Yeah. So, my story, when you Google my name, right, you go Jamie Kern Lima and you Google the press, it always comes up, Denny's waitress builds billion-dollar company. So I started a company called It Cosmetics in my living room and went through hundreds and hundreds of no's. I was trying to change the beauty industry. I was trying to make it inclusive and show real women and, models of every age and shape and size and skin tone. And,
Amazing.
I have rosacea, so I was showing, my own skin challenges. And when I launched that, it just wasn't being done at the time. So for years, I had this big dream but faced tons of rejections and opposition and eventually started getting yeses and launched on QVC. And we eventually built a company of over 1,000 employees. And eventually L'Oreal bought this company. I started in my living room and paid over $1 billion cash, which is amazing. But really, so when you Google me, that's the story you read. But my real story is a girl who most of my entire life, didn't believe I was enough, didn't believe deep down inside I was worthy. And I used to think I was alone in those feelings. And why I wrote Worthy, the book, is because 80% of women, we don't believe we're enough. 80%.
Right.
And 73% of men feel inadequate as well. 75% of female executives deal with imposter syndrome. 91% of women and girls don't love their body. It is Mindy, and I know this is why you and I are instant friends and the time for change has come. And I think it's so easy to think, and I know this from experience, that, if I just get this thing, then I'll feel enough. If I just get, this goal or this company or this certain job title or the relationship or, the 6-pack abs, whatever it might be, get the thing, then I'll feel enough. And those things, what I have learned the hard way is those things help us build confidence, which is really great. But if underneath it all, we don't feel worthy, we will never feel like we're enough. And we'll sabotage our dreams and goals. We'll stay stuck and plateau at things. We'll hit a big goal, but then somehow backtrack. And we have a whole kind of world right now that is getting good at building confidence, which is important, but not realizing if you don't learn how to build true self-worth underneath, then you'll never feel fulfillment. So I'm on a mission.
I love it. I know, and I love your mission. I love your mission. I want to go back to this idea because, for starters, when I write my books, there are two places that I spend actually a large amount of time really thinking about. One is my acknowledgments. And then the other one is my dedication. And when I wrote Fast Like a Girl, I was like, this is dedicated to the reader. There's no dedication that's more worthy with this book. So when I picked up your book and I read the dedication, I was like, oh my gosh, you get it. And I want to go back to what you just said. 80% of women don't feel they're enough. 75% of female executives who are dealing with imposter syndrome, and 90% of girls and women don't love their bodies. Why do you think that is?
I think that it is very layered. And I think from the time we are little girls, we literally first it all starts with seeing fairy tales, which I love, by the way. And what we start seeing is things like, you're not enough on your own. You're not complete and whole on your own.
Oh, like the princess movies.
Exactly. So if you're Ariel in Little Mermaid, you lose your own voice and you don't get it back until the prince comes and kisses you and restores your voice and falls in love. If you're, Snow White or Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty, you're not complete until the prince comes to rescue you. And while that's beautiful and fun, and I love all that, I still watch those movies. I love them. We have so many messages all around us that as women say, you're not enough. And by the way, we have often well-intentioned, loving friends and family who are just kind of trained culturally to say, who are you dating? Are you married yet? Are you, or what's your job title? Like those things. And if we have this right answer, like, when it comes to, oh, I have a partner in my life. Oh, I have someone else. I have the job title. Then we get kind of rewarded. We start to learn that those are the things we need to be enough.
Yep.
And it's a lie. We are born enough and fully worthy the second we're born. And so I think what's so important now is to every girl, every woman just about out there, oh my goodness, to really start with awareness and then start to do the work of unlearning those lies that lead to self-doubt and not enoughness, and then kind of waking up the truths that lead to worthiness. And it's really girls and women that learn, oh, on my own, I'm not enough. I need, someone else to complete me. And then that starts to transition into how girls and boys make decisions growing up. So many studies out there talk about how, if you ask a boy something, he'll answer. And if you ask a girl, she'll ask her friends, and she'll want a decision based on consensus. And I find myself doing that all the time.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, but I actually know what I want if I really get still. But we kind of learned that on our own, we're not enough. And that teaches us to then stop listening to our own intuition, to think that we need to make decision on consensus.
Yep.
And then where this escalates, which now we see an imposter syndrome everywhere, is that, we thought we needed a prince to rescue us growing up. Well, now as grown women, a lot of us think like, oh, I'm not enough to actually hold this job title, and we have that. And so then we think I need a mentor. And so the number of emails, and by the way, I'm such a pro in mentorship. I mentor a lot of women. A lot of people have influenced me big time that are mentors in my life. Mm-hmm. But what I know is you don't need a mentor to launch your idea, to, be successful in your job title or any of those other things. Like, I think mentors are great, but I think as women, it's so important that we take in all their input, all their opinions, and then filter them through our own intuition, our own knowing, and then because I think about when I was building IT Cosmetics, there were a lot of incredible mentors. They would give me advice, and sometimes I was like, oh, that's genius. That feels right in my gut. But sometimes they would tell me, oh, no, don't do it that way. Like that's not going to work. That's not going to sell in stores or whatever it would be. And I just had this feeling like I get that it's always been done that way. But I couldn't shake this feeling like, what if women actually are tired of buying from airbrushed Photoshop images? What if they want to see real people like them? And I would tell my mentors, like, I'm so grateful for your advice, but my gut's telling me to go in this other direction.
Against your mentors.
Go against the mentors. Wow. Yeah, and that makes all the difference when we learn to trust ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But here's the thing about trusting yourself that I've been really trying to unpack. So and you have it in your book about how we become such people pleasers as women.
Yes.
And just full transparency, I was born into a very loving home. And when my mom was pregnant with me, her father died. So while I was in the womb, he passed, my grandfather. And so I have often thought and felt that I was born into a position of pleasing and soothing my mom. And I had a sister that had a different approach to the family and didn't really care as much about pleasing the members of the family. So I say all that not as criticism to them, but I grew up that put other people's needs first and then think about yourself. And I almost got it to a point where it was like, I'm happy when everybody else is happy. So if I can go around and make sure everybody else is happy, then I can be at peace. So when I first heard that concept of what you're talking about, of like listen to your inner voice and really get to know yourself, it was empty. I didn't know and this is like recent, I'm 54. This is like last couple of years where I've really dove into what do I want? Yes. Who am I? How do I want to show up? It's a hard question to ask yourself.
Yes.